I think I was thinking about this. I think that the why is probably a good place to start. You know, when I was growing up, I lived in a household where I heard things like, leave it a little bit better than the way you found it. And people are good and treat people well and those kinds of messages. So I was very fortunate to get those kinds of messages. And so when did I become involved? I guess it's just been sort of instilled in me to just like search for something like that. And then obviously I grew up to be an adult and went to school for psychology because I couldn't get into med school because my math scores weren't good enough. And so I went through that, and it was not the path for me at the time. And I went on my own sort of journey, right? The journey of discovery of the self, and it ended up that I think it was like 12 years later, I found myself back working with psychology, and I wanted to start working and giving back. And because during that circuitous path, I had my own problems and struggles with alcohol and finding myself and figuring out who I was and where I fit in the world. And I had help doing finding that out and along my path. So it was that impulse, but also trying to find right work. You know, there's the kind of the Buddhist idea of finding right work. And I've always had that idea in mind. So I went back to the counseling field, and I was lucky enough to work in mental health in the nonprofit sector for 20 years total. But after 9 of those years, I went back to grad school, and I got my degree in counseling, and then that led me to opening up private practice and DayQuest Life Counseling, which I do now here in St. Petersburg, and mindfulness practice. So, through that time, I've had a lot of great experiences with and great teachers who have helped me and led me and taught me different methods, from everything from mindfulness to sweat lodge and touching on shamanism and clear evidence-based mental health practices as well, cognitive behavioral and EMDR and all those great practices that I bring to the clients that I'm with, and so that's sort of that's not a short answer, but that's my answer.
Well, that's quite a journey. So what would you say is your favorite part of your work?
Of the privilege of being with people who are encountering themselves, and the privilege of seeing people for who they are in that moment and being a part of their journey of self-discovery, of growth, of healing, and of being the more of who they really, really, really are, and helping to rediscover and take away the obstacles, childhood traumas or substance abuse as a result of that, or depression or anxiety, PTSD, using the tools that I've learned and the skills that I've gained to help them to be who they are. And so being a part of that and being a witness to that, wow, it's an amazing gift from the universe as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that sounds very fulfilling. So why did you join Holistic Network International?
Well, because a couple of reasons. One was just business. I had been laid off from my department in the nonprofit sector, and I was starting full-time private practice, and I really wanted to meet and be with people of like mind, make business contacts, learn from the people at the meetings, find out what they were doing, so I could have gone to the Chamber of Commerce, for instance, to do that. And I've been to Chamber of Commerce and other networking, but the holistic network, excuse me, holistic network is when I'm there, I know that I'm with people who are of like mind, who believe in the human being as a whole being and not just the sum of the parts. And I believe in complementary medicine, so I believe in allopathic medicine. I think it has its place, but I think that there's more acupuncture, herbal, massage, counseling, hypnotherapy. All of those are very valuable practices, and I want to be a part of that movement and a part of supporting the people in that movement, and also I feel the support from them.
What would you say is the greatest member benefit in being a member of Holistic Network International?
Well, there's so many that it's hard to list them all. But my favorite, I like going to the meetings when I can get to the meetings. I've been able to go to more meetings earlier on, and now I kind of miss them. But I like the idea that I can connect in with the phone. I haven't done that yet, but I'm going to try that and listen to the meeting later. And so I really like that. The part that's my most favorite is when we have the opportunity to go and do events at different locations, either of members or when we're part of another event, like the Awakening into the Sun event here in St. Petersburg, where there's a great gathering of holistic and yoga and all kinds of great people. And we have a booth there, and we get to interact with people, create an opportunity for them to know more about the network, but also, if we're manning the booth or they're personing the booth, well, we get to share our own experiences too. And I really like doing that. That's fun.
Yeah, those are fun experiences. What would you say, Michael, would be a key challenge facing your profession?
Key challenge, let's see. I guess it'd have to be twofold. One direction would be funding. As I said, I worked mental health service in nonprofit for 20 years, and we're at the very bottom of an inverted pyramid when it comes to funding, below teachers, below first responders, below all those folks. And I think we are seeing that the way our society is, that we really the second part is that the service itself, the value of mental health counseling itself, I think, is undervalued as well. So it's trying to figure out how to get the most services to the most amount of people, and as a private practitioner, still being able to make that balance and balancing whether I belong to an insurance group or whether and accept their provider fees, which do not match what we need really. So that's, and then balancing that with meeting the needs of folks who really need the service.
Right, that does sound challenging. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. And before we conclude, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I want to thank you and extend my gratitude to you, Desiree, for the work that you do. You put in so much effort, and it shows. It's not that, I mean, this started as, I think, the Holistic Network of Tampa Bay, and then it was the Holistic Network of Florida. Now it's like international. But locally, the things that you've done for us is, as the community of holistic folk, has been tremendous. Everything from creating those presentations, as I was speaking about, holding the space for the meetings, creating the website and the monthly newsletter, and then most recently creating the opportunity to be published in the Holistic Alternatives book that was put out last year, and I know you have another one coming up addressing anxiety, I think, and so the work that you're doing is continuing. It's growing. It's growing not only our network, but it's also, I think, contributing to the holistic movement across the country and in our consciousness. And I really appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
Well, thank you.